Friends, Alla Borisovna Pugacheva, who this summer unexpectedly emerged with a substantial, truly epoch-making 3-hour video, specifically an interview for one of the Russian foreign agents' YouTube channels, where she openly shared her perspective on numerous ongoing events, including all the political developments within the Russian Federation. The war was also mentioned, specifically the sacred date for the end of the war against Ukraine. There was also talk of Sergei Kirienko, who supposedly helped her to avoid being labeled a foreign agent, and indeed she was not designated as a foreign agent. So, following that interview, I had already mentioned it, I had foreseen it. If you happened to catch my analysis regarding that content, you would have heard my precise remarks. This is a comprehensive information campaign, orchestrated by the presidential administration of Vladimir Putin, most likely, and perhaps even by Sergei Kirienko himself. He currently manages the direction of media and all these propagandistic efforts within the Russian Federation and even beyond its borders. Pugacheva was presented not as a foreign agent, but rather as a celebrated diva, a true prima donna, a prominent figure, or at the very least, a significant voice within the creative intelligentsia, if such a body genuinely exists in Russia. She is portrayed as a thought leader with the capacity to influence ongoing events and smooth over contentious issues. So what exactly is transpiring now? If we are to credit a Telegram channel such as Kremlyovskaya Tabakerka, it's quite an unusual channel, yet it's indeed linked to the Kremlin and those individuals closely associated with Sergei Kirienko. So what does Kremlyovskaya Tabakerka report? That Alla Borisovna approached her Kremlin acquaintances with a somewhat peculiar request. This request pertains to Naoka, the street singer who has recently been arrested for the 3rd time, originating from the band like Stop Time, which performs songs by foreign agents such as Noise MC, Monetochka, Pornofilmy, and other similar artists near the metro in St. Petersburg. People and even children gather, they sing whatever they want there, and now they are being dragged through detention centers. I'll summarize this. Pugacheva feels Alla Borisovna can't fathom how serious Russian leaders would persecute a street singer. She contacted her acquaintances within the Kremlin, specifically reaching out to Sergei Kirienko himself. It's deliberately written as Seryozha here because she, Pugacheva, called him Seryozha in that big interview. They communicate periodically, which is rather intriguing. She implored them to leave the young girl in peace and to avoid any embarrassment, as recounted by a source intimately associated with the prima donna. Now, this whole story is about the Nen girl for whom they shouldn't embarrass themselves. This is the girl. Her name is Diana Loginova. She is 18 years old. Look, she is currently in the Leningrad Oblast, and the Leningrad Oblast court has just sentenced her to another 13 days of arrest. Another, meaning the kid has already served 13 plus 13, and now another 13. This time she will be detained under the protocol concerning the organization of a mass movement of citizens. This implies she is being held for orchestrating a public gathering, which is prohibited. Yes, mass movement of citizens is forbidden in the Russian Federation. The initial instance involved organizing unsanctioned rallies, where children were playing guitars and others were dancing, thus assembling a gathering. The guitarists and the Stop Time band, because they were performing specifically, in her particular instance, she was singing a song by Monetochka. Incidentally, Monetochka herself is currently a foreign agent. This Monetochka, too, has just now received an in absentia verdict due to violations of reporting rules. The reporting rules for her foreign agent status. That's how this whole situation sounds. So for Monetochka, for whom this Diana Loginova ended up in pre-trial detention, Alla Borisovna is not pleading, but instead saying, leave the girl alone. Because Monetochka is a foreign agent and friends, not even Alla Borisovna Pugacheva will intercede for a foreign agent. The foreign agent designation and the overall status of foreign agents within the Russian Federation constitute a deeply serious matter. This is the danger that the Russian government, Putin's regime, accepted to avoid unsettling the propaganda-susceptible minds of its citizens. And it was believed that, well, the issue of influence like in that Soviet comedy, to put a stop to this feigned Western influence. But you see, these children who are now 18 years old, the war, as I must remind you, has been ongoing since 2014, correct? So she was basically a 6-year-old girl who is now 18, and something is stirring inside her. There are many girls like Diana Logunova in the Russian Federation. They decided to make an example of her, basically. And so they are demonstrating to everyone precisely what should not be done. This girl is just a girl who has been taken into custody in a pre-trial detention center, and there she remains. The narrative surrounding Naoka, which is her creative pseudonym, directly connects Diana Logunova to the actions of the governor. Governor Beglov, operating within the Leningrad Oblast, is reportedly wary of what he terms criminal liberalism. Consequently, he is said to be taking this opportunity to gain favor with Putin, to curry favor with the Kremlin, aiming to demonstrate his effectiveness as a manager and political figure, a person skilled at stopping these matters completely, right at their inception, nipping them in the bud. And so he puts an end to all of it, while in the Kremlin, they're at a loss about how to handle this situation. They absolutely failed to grasp the situation, as the ripples of this growing dissatisfaction are clearly reaching Kirienko himself, who, in turn, has arrived at an undeniably simple and evident conclusion for his own benefit. It's best if we simply don't interfere in this whole matter. May this whole situation rest on the conscience of the St. Petersburg authorities. Their positions might be at stake, or they might lose their political dividends, and that will be their problem. Putin isn't one to play such games. He doesn't deploy FSB agents to target children. But then why is Alla Borisovna now asking Kirienko himself to intervene in this story? This entire incident ultimately made its way to the presidential administration despite everything. Meanwhile, it's rumored that Putin is actually afraid of riots, so there. The situation is also quite complex. Here's a headline from the Telegraph. This isn't recent. This article was published a little while ago, but it's particularly telling because the video selected to accompany this piece is directly related to this Naoka's concert performance. You can see her right here. To be precise, on the right side of this photograph, you'll find her hood and her coat, yes, and that's the 18-year-old blonde girl standing there. And Putin, gripped by the fear of unrest and potential conspiracies, is even resorting to battling children, placing them in handcuffs. Just look at the truly remarkable future a country has when its children, who merely sing songs, are being shackled. This is a shameful situation indeed. What a future for a nation where singing children are put in handcuffs, treated as if they were threats to stability. They're just walking around like they're some kind of dangerous fanatics. I mean, they're absolutely threatening the stability of the entire regime. This is who enemy number one is for the Russian Federation today. However, for Alla Borisovna, as I remind you once more, this appears to be a rather disgraceful situation that brings about considerable embarrassment. The Russian Federation, its authorities, are a disgrace. Put an end to this shameful behavior. Incidentally, Alla Borisovna was not the sole individual who offered her support to Naoka. This was also done by another foreign agent, if I am not mistaken. This Stop Time band. Indeed, Shevchuk of DDT, during his most recent performance, likewise dedicated a song to Stop Time once more, but the stance is as follows: observe. According to sociologists, the wave of support for Stop Time is, and I quote, moderate but significant, especially given the current circumstances. He states that regional police respond with severity. Activists who advocate for musicians are arrested. Authorities determine specific individuals, convicting them of petty hooliganism due to explicit language in Noise MC's track, Cooperative Swan Lake, and for discrediting the special military operation due to Monetochka's song, You're a Soldier. This is just like Naoka Logunova. Authorities and citizens hold different views. Citizens see it as urban leisure, security forces, a deliberate provocation. The regime cannot afford even the slightest manifestation of political protest right now. Everyone is obliged to outwardly pledge allegiance to the flag. Therefore, there will be only one answer: repression, pure repression. And that is precisely what they are occupied with. However, Alla Borisovna Pugacheva, it appears, finds this to be quite humorous. Alla Borisovna Pugacheva truly cannot comprehend how such influential and powerful individuals currently governing Russia could possibly persecute a mere street singer like this. On the one hand, this particular singer absolutely must face the full force of the law, because if she continues to perform numerous prohibited songs, then inevitably everyone else will follow suit and sing those same songs as well. Excuse me, with just one source quoting this, I'll say something quite seditious, but aren't we tightening the screws a little too much? We're jailing some girls that it's embarrassing to even be afraid of. We're shutting down the internet. It's understandable that it's important to protect Russia, but these aren't Stalin's times, but still. Another source, however, does not align with this assessment and, being closer to the official stance of the Russian government, remarks, Russians have become overly complacent, and if we allow this adversarial singer to go free today, then tomorrow we will no longer be able to incarcerate. Terrorists and saboteurs and the SMO will end without a capital V victory, as many internal enemies desire. Consequently, it is imperative that we respond with firmness to such unusual demands. I would also punish Alla Borisovna Pugacheva, but at this moment it's quite difficult, to get to her. Clearly because of this individual. It's quite amusing, isn't it? Alla Borisovna Pugacheva, who declared this past summer in an interview that she intended to return to the Russian Federation, has indeed made her comeback, riding in on such a grand, robust, and prominently white steed into the Russian Federation's informational arena.